it's Will with Tabletop Generals. Today we are going to take our first look at Severed Union, a American Civil War miniatures game. It's by a company called Gordon and Haig Historical Miniatures, which is a company which was founded by a gentleman named Brian Buxar. Brian is a big history buff and Civil War reenactor. If you check his Facebook page, you can see him in full Confederate regalia with a genuine antique musket on his shoulder. It's pretty cool. Brian was not satisfied with the crop of American Civil War miniatures games on the market, and so he did what any proper American would do and built his own. And we have it. We're going to talk about it. It's called Severed Union. It's in the 10mm range, and before you say what I think you're going to say, you don't have to paint them. They're pre-painted. It's pretty cool. And the paint job is not bad for little tiny 10mm guys. This is actually a huge draw because if you're a miniatures modeler like I am, 10mm is not easy to paint because it's tiny and you have to paint. It's so tedious, especially with uniformed armies. Like, how many blue 4mm long pants legs do I have to paint? Oh, 600. Well, let's get started. It's all done for you. The miniatures are good, but let's talk about the rules a little bit first. This is the rule book. It is less than 40 pages long. It's a simple rule set to learn. Maybe about half an hour after you receive your minis in the mail and go through the rules, you'll be able to start playing. Like any miniatures game, it has a few intricacies that will take a long time to master, but it should be easy to get up and running really quickly right out of the box. Speaking of boxes, to fight a battle, you need an army. This is a Federal starter army. This box right here contains 270 pre-painted based minis. 270. That's a lot of minis. It's a lot of Union Blue. Not enough for me. If you're like me, you want a lot of troops on the field. That's one of the things that really draws me to 15mm, 10mm, smaller ranges, is the sheer amount of miniatures that you can field, and it's still a manageable game because they're based multiple minis per base. If you are like me, you're going to want a grand army. In this box, there are 496 rebels. That's a lot of gray. Either army, the starter or the grand army, of course, are available in Federal or Confederate. You will need one of each to play, or you and your friend will, you gotta, I suppose, depending on which side of the Mason-Dixon line you live on, choose sides. But somebody's got to be the Federals, somebody's got to be the Confederates. I am a diehard Unionist. I will never play the Confederates, but that's just a personal problem, and I'm really working on overcoming it. The minis are awesome. You've got quite a variety. You've got cavalry, scouts, generals, artillery, militia, and plain old infantry. And then you've got militia and infantry command bases. Another cool thing is that the command bases are, it looks like a standard infantry base, but it's got a flag bearer, and included in the boxes are different regimental flags. So if you want to pull off the stars and stripes or the stars and bars, depending on who you're playing, and tack on a regimental flag, it'll give your army a little more flavor. Why don't we stop talking about the minis and actually have a look at them? Here we have the 10mm Severed Union pre-painted. This is some Union cavalry. There's 3 to a base. You can tell they're 10mm if you look at the size of my thumb next to the stand. Next we'll do a Union command stand. I was talking about the different regimental flags. They come out of the box with either stars and stripes in the case of Union, or stars and bars with the Confederacy. But you can easily take these off and swap out some of the included regimental flags. So that's cool. You can really customize very easily the flavor of your army, which is kind of neat. Here are some Union scouts right there. As you can see, their level of detail is pretty good for 10mm, especially for pre-painted. They're not bad minis at all. They're certainly playable right out of the box. I love it. Confederate infantry, and then we'll do the Union infantry next.
You can see it's the same model, they're just painted differently, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at this scale. And who knows, in future releases of new minis, depending on the hopeful success of this game, they may have some more differentiation between Union and Confederate. But you don't need it. You really don't, because they're 10mm, they're tiny. So they just basically need to either be blue or gray. Speaking of gray, some Confederate cavalry. The minis look really good. I can't stress that enough. Here is some Union militia. And side by side with little Confederate militia. So you can see it's the same model, just a different paint job. This is a Confederate general and his adjutant, I suppose. The horses look about proportioned to the model, which is nice. There's really no visible flash on the minis, which is also nice, and the paint jobs are pretty uniform and certainly acceptable. Last but not least of what I'm going to show you right now is an artillery piece. This is Union cannon. One real nice thing, a lot of Civil War miniatures, and I don't know why they do it, but they screw up the size ratio between the crew and the cannon. The cannon is either too large or too small in comparison to the guys manning it. Severed Union, it looks about right. The wheel of the cannon should just about hit the breastbone in height of a guy standing right next to it if he's of average height, and this does. So that's really nice. I mean, it's a little detail, and only a crazy history nerd like myself would even care, but it does, and that makes me smile. We're going to do some future tutorials on how to dress up the bases with a little flocking. We might do an ink wash tutorial to bring out more detail in the minis, but as I've said, these look really good right out of the box. You can open them up, you can start playing, and you can enjoy the game very easily. This is Severed Union. It's by Gordon and Haig Historical War Games. You can get it on our website, TableTopGenerals.com. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Have a great one, guys.